People there. First of all, thank you so much for this prize. I'm a very big fan of International Amnesty and all the work they're doing in Brazil against police violence and against racism. So it's a great honor to receive this award. I'd just like to make some brief introduction about why this film exists. I was born in 1979 during the military dictatorship in Brazil, and I grew up with the stories of my parents about when they were fighting in the students' movement in that time, especially the stories of my father that ended up as a political prisoner, and grew up with those stories and with the image that my mind had created about my father being tortured inside prison really changed the way to see reality and to understand the justice and injustice of the world. When democracy arrived in Brazil, I was a kid, and when I was 12 years old, me and my friends, 12 years old friends, we created the first school union of our public school. And I was elected the president of this union. And it really changed the way I could understand the world and the possibilities to change reality, because I was able to sit in the same food, in the same table with the director of the school. And it was really important for my formation. Some years after, I was able to vote for president for the very first time of our democracy. And for the first time, I felt really represented. We had our first left-wing government that was facing the biggest problem of Brazil, inequalities. Just some context, Brazil was the very last country in the Western world to abolish slavery. And we are always, and International Amnesty knows that very well, we are always in the top of violence against LGBT people, violence against women, violence against black people in special. In 2015, I saw what those young guys that we will meet soon were doing. I don't want to be a spoiler of the film, but they were doing big things. And I was so curious how those kids that were coming from very bad public schools in São Paulo, in general living in the favelas or in the ghettos, they were able to organize themselves, like you see. And for me and for a lot of people of my generation, we felt hope. We felt the future could be a better place, because they were still able to dream about a better society, a more equal society, about a society with better schools to really change the minds of this nation that grew up with military dictatorship and change this reality. And that's why I started the film. And even in my best dreams that time, I would never, Dieter, I would never imagine that we would premiere here at Berlinale. And of course, in my very best dreams, I would never imagine that we would be awarded in this amazing and political and important festival. But at the same time, even in my worst nightmare that time, I would never imagine that this film would premiere in a moment, in a context like the one Brazil is living right now. Brazil just elected its first extreme right-wing president of its history. Jair Bolsonaro, when he was a candidate, was promising to arm the good citizen of Brazil, this country that is already one of the most violent of the world. He was promising to militarize the schools. he was promising, and he's already started to do that, to finish all the critical thinking inside school. He has a big project to do that. And to criminalize all the gender taught inside, teaching inside schools. Even in my worst nightmares, I would never imagine that that first president that I voted, that he was like the first candidate in every pulse of Brazil elections in 2018. He was not, he wouldn't be able to run the election to be president because he would be in jail. The judge that put Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in jail is now the new Minister of Justice of this extreme right president. So be here and talk in English about all those things are really helping me to understand what is going on in Brazil. And to finish this speech, I would like to explain the name of the film. The original title is Espero Tua Revolta. Espero, in Portuguese, means at the same time, I wait and I hope. So the title of the film is I Wait and I Hope Your Revolt. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to invite you to a Q&A with the team after the screening. If you have time, you also have the possibility to ask questions. And now please enjoy Espero Tua Revolta. Thank you so much.